which we didn't even know she had cataracts, but her cataracts got worse 90% in 3 weeks. I begged her primary care physician. I went online. I went to drugs.com. I looked at every drug they gave her at that hospital. And I found on drugs.com that isosorbide mononitrate is contraindicated in glaucoma patients. I said, this has to be the cause. I begged her doctor, I said, can we put her back on lisinopril, please? The doctor said, sure. So we put her back on lisinopril and the eye degradation stopped. Unfortunately, by this time, Wanda was so blind that she could only see 2 feet in front of her face. Everything else was a blur. And she was delusional from the Reglan medicine. She was still drinking Diet Pepsis. Well, they scheduled a operation 4 months away to have her cataracts worked on. So for 4 months, my wife stayed blind and delusional. She would come in and out of her delusional state. For the most part, she was calm. Wanda was so strong. 2 days before the cataract surgery, Wanda had a delusional state that was very profound. Her sister came up and convinced me to get her back out of the yard where she had walked out in our backyard, and said she was going to go to a house that her brain had told her existed somewhere else. We had a police officer come in. Wanda saw the police officer uniform. She could see that from 2 feet away. She could hear his reassuring voice, and she came back in the house. And 2 days later, on December 13th, 2017, Wanda had cataract surgery that saved her life. It saved her life. The doctors think I'm making something up when I tell them this. But because Wanda could see, her brain could readjust. She could know her environment. She didn't see blurs and think they were other people. She didn't see the psychiatrist with the 2 young women with him like he was a stud and think it was me and accuse me of being with a woman when the psychiatrist brought his 2 main squeezes in to analyze my wife in a hospital because she was blind. Anyway, Wanda's eyes got better. I'll never forget the night that she was looking at the TV and Lord in heaven, I want to thank you. That night, Wanda looked at the TV, at the little letters on the bottom of the screen and said, Phil, I can read that. That was a day, and I think it was 2 days after the surgery. And I said, Jesus, thank you. Because Wanda's eyes were getting better. And I knew when she could see where she was at, her brain would readjust. Hopefully she would become better and she would land back in reality. She was still drinking Diet Pepsis. After the cataract surgery, I took about 2 months off there because with cataract surgery you have to put 3 different types of eye drops in her eyes at certain hourly intervals, and I knew my wife was simply not well enough to do that. I took the time off. I said to my boss, I said, dude, I got to do this. This is her only hope. I got to give her the best chance. So I took my 2 months off and we did the eye drops, and Jesus and God made a miracle happen, and the HMO doctors. And she had a pretty good couple of years. They were keep trying to find out what was going on. But Wanda was concerned about her heart. And she didn't believe her primary care physician. She said, I need to go find out what's going on with my heart, because we found out in a passing diagnosis with her doctor that Wanda had had not only a stroke, but had had a heart attack, and that had never been disclosed to Wanda. So Wanda really wanted to find out what's going on. We went in and we had a test done, and the doctor comes to me and he says, man, she's really weak. Are you sure you want this test to happen? I mean, she could die. I said, dude, my wife needs to know what's going on. Let's find out what's going on. And that's when they found out what I showed you in the other video with the 90% blocked arteries. Now, after Wanda was in August 2017, it was August 3rd, 2017 when she had the reaction to Reglan, I went through everything that Wanda was consuming. Drugs, foods, sweeteners, and I found something about the Splenda, and I want to thank God, Jesus, Lord, for showing it to me. It was a study about lab rats done by, I think it was NIH, that said that they did a study on the stomachs of lab rats, and they gave them Splenda sucralose, and they said that these rats that they exposed sucralose to had a much degraded ability to absorb any type of anything put into their stomachs. That if they were given medicine after being treated with sucralose for several days, that the medicines would not absorb, and that the stomachs showed symptoms of being highly irritated. I said, Jesus Christ, man, this is it. The Splenda caused this crap. So we yanked her off a Splenda as hard as I could yank her off a Splenda sucralose. And I told her, I said, honey, this is what's been making you sick. This is what's been making you cough up foam. And she didn't believe it, but she listened. And guess what? She got better. It took 6 effing weeks for her to drink a bottle of water. But the night she drank a bottle of water, again, I praise God. It took her 6 weeks to be able to drink a bottle of water, because the Splenda had ruined her stomach so bad. So anyway, we went back to aspartame. So now Wanda's drinking the aspartame, the Diet Pepsi with the aspartame. And she had a couple of good years. And we did our thing. We went to Charlestown, to the slots, and we played. But Wanda was still housebound pretty much. And we would go to Walmart. That was her big thing, was to go to Walmart and shop. And she absolutely was a foodaholic, because when she would go into the freezer aisles and go into the food aisles, she would stare at the packages and the pictures, and I swear to God, I think she would taste it. But I think this came from her being poor, and from her also having such a low sense of self-esteem because of the shitty way that she was treated when she was a child, and the shitty way she was treated when she was a teenager by the men who were in her life. So she loved the food. The food never made her feel like shit. The food was pleasurable. And when my wife got sick, I had a good friend named Harry who got prostate cancer, and he fought that for like 8 years. And God bless his wife and his daughter, but they made his life a living effing hell in the last couple of months, or the last couple of years of his life. Not because they wanted to, but because they loved him. But Harry's thing was he liked to go to like Golden Corral and get a plate of grits and bacon and eggs and hash browns and sit down and eat it. Now, Harry was dying. And nothing was going to change that. I mean, you wish it would. You wished it. And his wife and his daughter just wanted him to be around, but they really pounded him about what he was eating. And Harry just hated it. And I told my wife, I said, honey, whatever you want to eat, we're going to get. It might be smaller portions. It might be something a little bit healthier. We might skew away from the quarter pounder and maybe, get something that's a little bit less fatty, but, we'll get something that equates to a burger and fries. Maybe bake the fries in the oven. But we'll give her something. So anyway, we had a good couple of years, and but Wanda was getting weaker, and she was getting sicker, and I started seeing problems with Wanda. Wanda always had like 4 personalities in her. 4 or 5. She had a childlike personality. She had the strong business personality. She had the wonderful, beautiful Wanda personality you saw in the picture with the glasses. But this was all a coping mechanism for what she went through when she was a child. And I loved every one of them. I never tried to push her out of one personality into another personality, because you can't do that. You got to deal with what God gives you and say, thank you. I love this woman. So, anyway, she kept getting sicker, and she started seeing things. She was seeing people in the house. She was seeing it was never and I want to thank God again, because none of her hallucinations were ever angry or nasty or scary. They were always helpful. A lot of her hallucinations was me. She would see me helping her, putting her socks on, putting her pants on, helping her put her bra on, helping her put her blouse on. Wanda did her own hair until almost to the time she died. I mean, she was a professional hairdresser, and she was tough. I want to tell you, that girl would go in that bathroom, and she would work for 45 minutes on her hair. She would put eyeliner on. She couldn't even fucking see. She would do that. She was a tough bitch, man. She was tough. We'd go to Walmart. She'd come back. She wouldn't even know where the fucking house was. Late in her life, she forgot where the house was. Anyway, she started getting these sores on the fronts of her legs, and we were concerned about it. I was concerned because it was, I thought that it was the degradation of the long-term diabetes closing up her arteries in her legs. All I never heard about diabetes was you're going to get your legs, your feet, your toes. It'll start your toes, your feet, and then your legs, and it'll cut all the way up to your hips. That's what I heard. I never heard about blood clots causing this. I never thought that blood clots could cause this. Anyway, Wanda's legs was fucking hurting for a long time, and she was on gabapentin. She was on, we actually found out that krill oil, not fish oil, but krill oil, actually helped her legs feel better. And I was jacked about that. But somewhere, someone gave her the idea to not drink the krill oil. So she got off of that. Anyway, she got these sores on her legs, and it became really painful. Her legs really became painful. And the sores got bigger, and I got scared, man. I said, man, something's going on here. And Wanda got sick. She went into hospital. And she came out, and the doctor said, we need to try Pradaxa. And Wanda's still drinking the Diet Pepsi. And Wanda had been having a real problem with edema in her legs. I mean bad edema, which is swelling. All through the time her legs was getting, the fronts of her legs had the sores on them. And the doctor's response was eat less salt and here's more Lasix. Nobody ever told us about the aspartame. I never knew about the fucking aspartame. And she went on to Pradaxa, and in 2 days, Pradaxa started her bleeding. It started a downward spiral and in 2 months killed her. So you know about how the white label Pepsi, Diet Pepsi with the Splenda, attacked her stomach. After Wanda died, I could not believe that I missed something. I could not believe that, what did I do wrong? What the fuck did I do wrong? So I went on the internet, and as God does with me, He finds things for me to find, and He shows them to me. And He says, here you go. And there was a study. It was a 2019 study of healthy women who took aspartame and had a 30% higher risk of blood clots. And what I believe now is that when Wanda had the heart study, what we were looking at was blood clots. And Wanda's legs, when the Pradaxa went into her body, her legs got better in a week. The sores went away in a week. They were blood clots. But the Pradaxa also killed her. It helped kill her. But the causative factor in this, unfortunately, there's a video by a young lady named Lisa J on YouTube. It's called My Scary Story About Aspartame Poisoning. And in her story, she's a beautiful 30-year-old woman, married woman. She's an aerobics competitor. She's trying to lose weight. She's drinking water. She's putting Crystal Light, which has aspartame in it, in the water. She's also eating diet gum that has aspartame in it. And she's working out like a demon trying to lose weight. She wakes up one day and she's gained 4 pounds. And she freaks out. She says, what the hell's going on? So she went to work. She was feeling like crap. She started feeling really like crap. She was scheduled to go to her trainer that night. She went to her trainer. Her trainer said, what the hell did you eat, a whole pizza? And they got talking, and Lisa told her trainer about the water with the Crystal Light, and her trainer said, wait a minute, what are you talking about? She said, well, I use aspartame, I use Crystal Light in the water. And her trainer says, I think you got aspartame poisoning. Long story short, she got herself off the shit that night. And in 4 days, she lost 9 pounds of water weight. 4 days, she lost 9 pounds of water weight. That's edema. That's what happened to my wife. That's what helped my wife be so fucking sick. And then the 2019 study talks about blood clots. Well, my wife had blood clots. We didn't know where they came from. But of course my wife was addicted to Pepsis. And nobody ever said a fucking thing. So what I'm telling you is this. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to reach out on across the internet. I want you to look at all the studies before they fucking disappear. I want you to decide for yourself, now that I've told you the story of my wife. Do you want to fucking kill your loved one? Get them the hell away from aspartame. Get them the hell away from Splenda sucralose. Those 2 chemicals should never have been put in our food supply. They should not be there. They are fucking poison and they're killing people. And the doctors are not fucking recognizing it. They're not telling people because they don't fucking know. Because the food companies are fucking hiding it, and everybody's making lots of money.